All right, guys, we are back. Up next, we have DJ Vlad, the most hated interviewer in hip hop. It's crazy because I feel like every time I come across his name or I'm reacting to something and I see his face pop up, I always have to reiterate how much that dude is hated. He gets called fed, agitator, all sorts of things. Like a lot of it too is like, yeah, when you go in there, you already know what's up. You know he's gonna try to like milk the content and try to get some salacious or something that could potentially get you like knocked down, you know? But yeah, we go jump right into the video and go from there because I'm pretty sure they're gonna explain a bunch of it. There's a reason why Laura Jamar and a bunch of others have like kind of condemned him and left him.
DJ Vlad, also known as Vlad TV, has been in hot water lately after some comments that he made during the
He looks like such a clown though.
Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. It all started when Vlad tweeted a, let's be honest, pretty dorky complaint when he said, Kendrick's Not Like Us needed a better mix. It takes away from the song. Then a woman by the name of Morgan Jenkins responded saying, you are white, this is a black folk affair.
I get, at the end of the day, he was critiquing the mix. He's allowed to critique the mix of a record, you know, without it turning into a race thing. But that being said, the record was an iconic moment.
They argued back and forth for a while, with Vlad taking
But yeah, the whole trying to get her fired is freaking corny.
Princeton, the
Should have just kept it on social media, say whatever you had to say, and then keep it at that.
school she worked at, insinuating that he was going to get her fired by contacting them.
Yeah,
This upset
that's
a
whack.
lot of people, so much so that Vlad tried to later apologize, but the people
late,
weren't
fam.
having it. Judging by all of the replies and the ratios, the general consensus was not in Vlad's favor. But this is far from Vlad's first controversy, and there is one big reason that everybody hates DJ Vlad. So let's check it out.
He's a
If you don't
fag.
know DJ Vlad, this is him.
You know, when you listen to your music,
Slim Jesus, man. What a weird moment.
there's a lot of street stories.
Well, not that guy. The voice was DJ Vlad. That was the person he was interviewing. DJ Vlad is an interviewer and the owner of Vlad TV, a hip-hop media outlet. But he's
Actually very successful outlet as well.
actually been in the game for quite a while. Despite coming from Ukraine as a young kid,
He got slapped by, what was it, DJ K-Slave? Yeah, man, this guy's been not liked for a very long time.
Vlad said that he was always drawn to hip-hop when he moved to the US. He said he felt like an outcast since he came to the US during the Cold War, and that
Believe him.
hip-hop seemed like a place where outcasts could fit in.
You know, hip hop was kind of like really like an outcast kind of culture during that time, and I just kind of got drawn to it.
Very
Between the
rebellious.
music and the breakdancing. It just became my thing, and it just became a lifelong.
First, Vlad started off getting really into breakdancing since he saw it on TV. Then he got into making beats, but he wasn't that good, so he started DJing. After college, he launched his website djvlad.com and started posting his mixtapes on the internet. While making mixtapes, he made one with DJ Green Lantern and DJ Dirty Harry,
Oh, Green Lantern is a legend.
and it was called Rap Phenomenon 2, and it was fairly
I want to say, I think he was Eminem's DJ early on.
popular. He also started selling hip-hop DVDs around this time as well. Vlad even directed a film called Ghost Ride the Whip, which featured people like Mac Dre,
The E40?
MC Hammer,
Yeah.
Sway, and many more. He also directed an episode of American Gangster called Romper Room Gang, which was an episode about bank robbers from the Bay Area. And Mac Dre
Makes
was in
sense.
it as well. It was actually pretty crazy because Vlad was doing so many different things trying to get his money. But in January of 2008, when
I mean, you can't deny the dude. He a hustler. He gets it.
YouTube was just in its infant stages, Vlad decided to pursue YouTube as they had just announced their partnership program. Vlad had already been doing interviews with artists on his YouTube.
Those early adopters, man, those are the ones that really win. Like the people that first jump onto like a platform and make a name. I want to say like what was it? Ashton Kutcher and like Twitter and people just when they're like the first people to blow up there, they really can generate these huge audiences.
But after seeing that he could make money from it, he went full steam ahead with his interviews. He was knocking out interviews with people like Busta Rhymes, Dipset, Akon, Plies, Lil Wayne, Big Boy, and
Iconic
more. Because of all of
moments.
his industry connections from DJ.
Yeah, Spider Loc. Yeah, that's the dude that I want to say got beat up by the game on camera and then like sued. I remember I met him at like a G Unit conference like on the way back to New York from Arizona, and like I let him cut in line at the Burger King. It was funny.
Selling mixtapes and all that other stuff, he was able to lock in some great interviews. He seemed like a guy who was truly passionate about hip-hop with all of his endeavors and collaborations. Vlad even said that his purpose in making interviews is to capture our era of music and solidify it in history.
You know, it's important. At one point, all of us are going to be gone. And what we're going to leave behind is these videos and these conversations
Definitely, it's a way to like leave some type of legacy behind.
and our thoughts. And I'm trying to capture a lot of that. This is really my bigger purpose in what I do. It's not just how much money can I make right now. It's like, what am I actually capturing?
He had also clarified that he felt he was a guest in the House of Hip Hop since he's white.
I had done an interview years before where they asked
You hear that a lot.
me
Well, yeah, these, especially with people with like Macklemore and stuff like that.
about white people's role in hip hop. And I said, I consider myself a guest in the House of Hip Hop.
Oh, wow.
Same way. I said, I felt lucky that I could be doing hip hop as a job.
He's made it seem
It's actually, he has a voice for it. He has a radio voice. It's a good thing he doesn't put himself on camera.
like he is in the hip hop space with the most honorable intent.
Honestly, with the type of like he generates sometime, maybe it's smarter, but at this point, if you want to know what he looks like, you're gonna find out what he looks like.
Intentions. But not everyone sees it that way, especially because of some incidents that have happened throughout his career. Vlad has actually been getting flack ever since he's gotten into the game. One of his first major controversies is when he started going hard with the interviews back in 2008. On August 15th of 2008, Vlad filed a $4 million lawsuit against Rick Ross, and he was claiming that Ricky Rose had some guys beat him up. Vlad's attorney, Brian Kaplan, said Rick Ross orchestrated a brutal attack upon DJ Vlad.
And I'm not an advocate for violence either, but it's just like all the stuff that he's like alleged to have done, just how he like carries himself sometimes. Bro, you can't be surprised.
Carried out at his direction by his accomplices, in retribution for media coverage of Rick Ross's prior life as a correctional officer. See, if you didn't know, Rick Ross used to be a correctional officer, and at the time he seemed to be pretty ashamed of it.
Yeah.
Which I actually did a whole video on if you want to check it out after this one.
No, it was used to like, yeah, really take down his credibility.
But yeah, I'm guessing Ricky was
But he survived it. Like, even like the 50 beef and stuff like that. He was smart to just like, I stick with the music, and the big mistake was that 50 just like kind of leaned into the skits, while Ross just kept making music, and it was really good music, and that kind of like held him over until like people just didn't really care anymore. People will bring it up, but it's not really like Rick Ross is. Honestly, he's probably top 5 funniest rappers.
pretty upset that Vlad kept pressing him on that question in an interview, along with asking other rappers about it in interviews as well.
That's what recently accused you of working as
Now you're just agitating him.
a prison guard at one point, Rick. Is there any truth to that?
No, that's not true. That's crazy. It's not true, man. But you know, dog a sucker, and he mad that I done came out of nowhere and just took over.
Yeah, Vlad got his ass beat by Ricky's henchman with a cut that had him eating stitches below his eye, 3 facial fractures, a corneal abrasion, which I don't even know what that means, and nerve damage.
The chin strap he looks like a Death Jam Fight for New York, like creator character.
But Vlad decided to sue him for $4 million, saying in the suit, the attack was launched by Ross in an attempt to stifle Vlad's journalistic.
Damn, they don't even host the Ozone Awards. There used to be a magazine back in the day that was published back in the day. A hip-hop magazine, obviously.
Reporting and freedom of expression. The suit also said that Ross painstakingly created his public persona to be that of a major drug dealer and gangster.
I mean, he did take the name Rick Ross from an actual drug dealer, gangster, Freeway Ricky Ross, who actually spawned 2 rapper names.
But is in reality a former correctional officer. So Vlad suing.
It's crazy because he kind of could have leaned into the whole like, just like there's dirty cops, there's dirty COs. Those are the people probably sneaking in the phones and sneaking in just contraband, for like for a nice bag. But yeah, there's definitely crooked COs.
Someone in a hip-hop beef had to have upset some people, while others probably recognize that he's just an interviewer and isn't trying to fight people, like Angela Yee, who interviewed him right after. Although I am surprised he didn't bust out any of that Russian strength in his scuffle. And Vlad ended up eventually winning $300,000 in the lawsuit. And while this incident alone did not turn too many people away from
I took that money and flipped it.
Vlad,
Buy some better cameras.
there were many more over the years that upset viewers. For a long time, DJ Vlad was able to lock in some great interviews throughout his career with many great
That beard really helps him out, though. The dude looks like a GTA character.
artists. He seemed to be well respected by people within the game. like his friendship with Lord Jamar, for example, or his frequent interviews with other artists.
Dude, he was a freaking collaborator.
But over time, his controversies would add up and the favor would seem to shift. In 2016, for example, DJ Vlad was involved in another major controversy. In March of 2016, rapper Bankroll Fresh was tragically shot and killed outside of a music studio. Shortly after this,
I've really dug his music.
DJ Vlad interviewed Bankroll's friend No Plug, in which he admitted some involvement in his friend's death.
So the shooting happened, you drove off.
Yeah.
You met with your lawyer.
These are things that don't have any statute of limitations and people feel so comfortable. It's like the whole Keefy D situation with Pac, like they get away with it and then they want to get on camera and basically snitch on themselves. I bet you this money isn't like properly accounted for. You know, it's like you gotta be smart when you're basically admitting to criminal activities. And these people, even if he's not a legit fed, to think there's not a task force that keep tabs on these type of like interviews, he'd be ridiculous.
And then you turned yourself in?
Yeah. I went from around from that shit. Shit, I got goddamn, I know goddamn, I was whatever was gonna happen. I know I was ready for whatever situation. If I had to take the shit to trial, like my lawyer, he's the best lawyer in goddamn Atlanta, Georgia, man. You know what I'm saying? Ash Joseph, man. I love him to death. He made me comfortable with the situation, you know what I'm saying?
After this interview went up, Bankroll's uncle made a statement about how upset he was. He said, "You disrespectful culture vulture. I offered you to talk to my family when my nephew was first killed, but you gave this coward a forum. My nephew is dead and you're having a light-humored conversation with an alleged killer like it's just another."
It's insensitive. Yeah, but these people are after content. They're after the viral moment, you know?
Interview. Eventually, the case was closed, with the police saying the entourage that No Plug was with shot back at Bankroll in self-defense. But the way in which Vlad interviewed the alleged killer was upsetting to some viewers. The interview also had comments like "Officer Vlad reporting for duty," and "This is some of Vlad's best police work." He's kind of promoted to detective. The Officer Vlad comments were nothing new, but incidents like this really had people thinking he was trying to get people in trouble with his interviews. And I will say, a lot of his interviews do kind of give off that police interview vibe, especially when he's asking all these questions about crime-related issues.
Of course. It definitely sounds like an interrogation. There's no denying that. But it's like at the end of the day, you're answering the questions willingly, you know? So it's like, yeah, he's asking some Fed type questions, but it's on you to like, you know, pivot and change the conversation and just say, I'm not answering that, you know?
A lot of other people were upset about this too, like Charlemagne the God, who, although he said he was friends with Vlad, thought that Vlad was just trying to make a quick buck off of Bankroll's death.
And I don't know him personally, but that stuff when he put old boy talking about murdering a kid, I was like, this is shit that don't need to be on.
There you go.
Like,
there you go.
And
by the way, that led to real shit happening in Atlanta.
Yeah.
That I know of. So it's just like, no, I don't know of.
See, but that right there is my problem with Vlad.
It's because those people, they are so disconnected. They're like, they're not out in the places where they can get touched, you know? Like, it's like how Axe says, like, oh, he'll never be comfortable with going to Chicago because of the whole covering the Chirac things and the fact that he's hated by a lot of people there. He's smart enough to not go there.
It leads to real shit happening, and then your disposition is very different.
Another person that DJ Vlad has had a pretty big beef with was Joe Budden. Vlad had a history of instigating
Still, Joe hates Vlad.
Issues between Joe Budden and others, like when he instigated the beef between rapper Ransom and Joe, which at some points even got physical. One viewer on Reddit said, "Vlad is a leech." He even said at the time Joe was dissing Ransom, he didn't even know who Ransom was. So why would you contact a stranger over some beef unless you're looking to instigate? Vlad justifies it by trying to claim he's a news agency, but he knew it'd be a viral moment. It should always be fuck Vlad. Joe Budden even confronted Vlad on Shade 45 about how he conducts his channel.
You're much brighter than the people that are on Vlad TV.
Young Joe, man. Crazy.
Much brighter.
If he knew like how his brand would grow and not rap, but as a podcaster and a voice in hip hop. And honestly, he's it's not just hip hop. He's definitely been getting into has been evolving into a lot more lifestyle stuff as well.
Brighter. You're much brighter than Ransom and all the idiots that were on that video. You're much brighter than a lot of people I see on this. So you already know what you are doing when you put a camera in front of the...
No, Vlad's he's a smart guy. He's not a fool.
And a few other places that capitalize off black niggas being ignorant will showcase it.
Okay.
No? So you're not to be held accountable for that.
Going forward, Vlad had brought up Joe many times and tried to make him look bad.
Every time
which
he
made many
can.
people think he had an agenda. Vlad even interviewed Joe's ex-girlfriend right after their breakup. He
Harry.
was basically begging for her to make Joe look bad.
Put hands on each other?
He was fishing and kind of trying to pull the answers he was looking for.
We had our moments, Vlad.
Really?
We had our moments, yeah. I'm not I wasn't an easy person to deal with, but we definitely had our moments.
So I mean, based on the answer,
we had our moments.
It got physical at a certain
Oh, she's she admitting that she gets physical too?
points.
We had our moments.
I mean, were the police ever called? The police were called.
No.
Yo, it's crazy how the rapper's girlfriend is handling the interview better than a lot of these rappers who become chatty patties.
No, because if the police were called, you probably would have been trying to interview us.
The police were never called.
We had our moments.
But stuff got broken.
We had our moments.
I mean, that
vague.
group was pretty rough, man. She clearly didn't want to talk about it, and Vlad was damn near on his knees begging for her to say something.
Trying to pull
that would
the
incriminate
answers
Joe.
out.
I
Yeah.
mean, the police comments are there for a reason. And another big reason people call Vlad the police is because of an incident with Casanova 2 Times. Casanova 2 Times is an artist that Vlad has interviewed many times on his channel.
So, you go to prison, but you don't calm down. How many people did you cut in prison?
3 to
Yeah, this is all stuff that probably should stay confidential, fam. Like, I get it. It adds to the myth of you, you know? The legend of Casanova, but this is all stuff that's getting tallied by the cops, man.
3 to 4 that I got tickets on, like paperwork on.
But really, it's
So there's more.
Now, obviously, talking about crimes you have already served for is one thing, because you can't get into trouble for something you're already convicted for. But Vlad's saying, but really it's more, is where the problem comes in. Because Casanova is liable to get into trouble for saying anything he says he did that he hasn't been convicted of doing. And that seems to be what happened, as when Casanova was later indicted on RICO charges, his interview with Vlad seemed to be referenced in.
Yeah, when they hit you with the RICO, they can literally take everything you've ever done and tie it together and link it. So it just seems like you're running this criminal organization.
In the report, it said, Senior has also personally committed acts of violence. In addition to his current open
Look, I mean, look what's going on with Doug.
charge, Senior has twice been convicted of robbery in the first degree. In public interviews, he has admitted to stabbing inmates while incarcerated on those charges. The article this is in also points out that the Casanova interview was literally titled, Casanova 2 Times on stabbing 12 inmates, beating
crazy.
cellmates.
Especially like, yeah, when he's only been like really, he's only been caught up for like the 4. So self-snitching at his finest. Like, yeah, Vlad is a fucking asshole for asking that, knowing that it can get him in trouble. But like Casanova, you got to take some of the responsibility for answering. You know, you could have easily left it vague and like, well, I got caught for 4 and that's it. And we can infer otherwise, you know?
Doing 7.5 years. So clearly this was alluding to Vlad's interview. Now obviously you can't put all of the blame on Vlad. The guys he interviews agree to talk to him, have full control over what they say, and should know better than to say something incriminating.
Come chatty patties,
But we've also
man.
seen Vlad pry throughout this video and put people in awkward situations. So there definitely could be some moral discrepancies. There are
Of course, the dude, his moral compass is honestly like non-existent.
a lot of other people in the hip-hop community who have issues with Vlad for a variety of reasons. For example, he had issues with Durk because Lil Durk mentioned he was having a kid, but then asked Vlad to cut it from the interview because he would rather keep it private. Then Vlad released the interview.
I get it. When you get on there, it's pretty much like, all right, the podcaster, they have final say of the edit, but like you do have to respect the guests, you know? Like you should like respect the relationship and if they ask to clip something out, just go and do it, you know? At the end of the day, it's something they obviously want to keep private, and shit, you might get a second interview out of them.
As it is, which led to Durk dissing him in a song. Vlad also had a brief clash on Twitter with Vince Staples.
Vince Staples was hilarious.
He had a falling out with one of his seemingly good friends and OGs in the game, Lord Jamar.
Oh shit, I didn't want him asking every fucking person that he interviews. What do you think about what Lord Jamar said about Eminem? What do you think about what Lord Jamar said about white people or guests?
He had another Twitter feud with Enoli Chapa, making fun of him for saying he cured cancer, which honestly is probably deserved. But Vlad has had many feuds, beefs, controversies, and more throughout his entire career. If I went into every single one on this video, it'd probably be like 3 hours. But all of these have stemmed from one main issue. The issue that has caused everybody to hate Vlad TV. The thing that has got Vlad in the most hot water is his interview style. And I'm not talking about the fact that his interviews feel
Well, he shoots it like a police interrogation. Just like the questions he asks. Some of them sound like a police interrogation.
like an awkward scene from a porn video. I'm talking about how Vlad
casting
tends
couch.
to ask questions about very serious, controversial, and even legal issues in his videos quite often. And Vlad is very open about this. He says that he likes to talk about the serious big news rather than asking the lighthearted questions or doing promo.
I just always felt like
Well, that's where the virality comes from.
these interviews were
It's crazy. These two are probably the two most hated people in hip hop, all under one roof, and it seems like it's green screen, but it's not. Oh, I don't know what the fuck is going down. The shadows look weird. But yeah, these are the two most hated people in hip hop.
a lot of times more PR than they were real interviews. Like I looked at 60
Interviewers,
minutes,
anyway.
Like okay, a 60-minute interview changes legislation. That's what I was trying to accomplish. I wasn't trying to just talk about someone's new album and what kind of jewelry they got on. You know, even though we do cover that, it's like there's a bigger purpose. I'll have a conversation with them beforehand. I say, hey, you know, I had heard that X, Y, and Z happened to you. Do you want to talk about it? And they're like, nah, I don't really want to fuck with this. So it's like, all right, cool. We're gonna let it go. But it's also not gonna be a cakewalk.
Yeah, no, you're gonna ask the same question a million times and try to fish for that answer you're coveting.
You know, when you sit down with me, it's not just going to be, you know, all promo and, you know, like lighthearted. It's like, yo, when we sit down, you know, we're going to talk about the real shit, because if we don't, it's not going to get the views and the impact. It's going to
After the content is first. Not to say some of these other podcasters aren't known for the same thing. Adam is known for the same thing. He's left a lot of stuff that has burned relationships with like people he's considered friends over like keeping something in for the sake of content. Joe has done stuff for the sake of content. He's podding, you know? So it's not just him, it's just the way he does it.
be a waste of everyone's time.
Vlad has been pretty open about his objective with his interviews. He even mentioned one of the main reasons he decided to go this route in an interview with Adam 22.
I directed an episode of American Gangster, actually on Mac Dre and the Romper Room Gang. So I got to sort of put together this kind of a mini documentary on this artist with a serious criminal element to it. And you know, it was such a dope piece when it came out.
Vlad wanted his show to focus more on the negative, hard-hitting side of rap.
Well, it's like driving, you see an accident, everyone wants to slow down, stop and look. That's really going to get the most eyes, the salacious, like crazy stuff.
Beefs, the drama, the legal issues, the crime, all of these things. And while negativity clearly sells...
Yeah, dude, he needs that beard. Anytime I see him without the beard, I'm like, yo, just... I see why K-Slay slapped you, fam.
The problems people have with Vlad is the impact that he has on the community. When interviewing artists who have problems with one another, like we have seen in this video, Vlad has the power to instigate the beef even further. Vlad's platform has the power to indict people. And these are the issues that people have with him and his interview style. Journalist Miles Tanzer was spot on back in 2014, calling Vlad hip-hop's reigning beef maker. He continued in his article to talk about a Vlad conversation with Charlemagne the God, in which Vlad said, Papoose
Vladimir Lebudyovny. Crazy name.
Called out Jay-Z for flinching during the fight with Solange. What do you think about that? Miles said, it was the ultimate Vlad question, one that asked for comment about a beef between two rappers, and also just happens to implicitly weigh morals and masculinity. Is a man wrong or right for remaining stone cold in the face of attack from a woman? The writer does a good job at covering how Vlad can ask such pointed questions that can cause controversy from the person he's talking to.
The nasty word.
Charlemagne in this instance is also known for his fair share of
Charlemagne has gone through a crazy rebrand trying to get away from that stuff. But that's so baked into his character. Yeah, he's gonna act like the craziest stuff. This guy has like sniffed like the chairs after female guests have like gone off like the interview, you know? Like the dude acts the wildest stuff, which is also why he's gotten into situations where like the can I get a drop moment where it's like obviously if you guys haven't seen it, he's like he's approached about like recording a drop, which is like promo, like shout out to whoever it is. And yeah, they just basically wanted to touch him up a little bit. And there's been multiple interviews of him getting called out on a one-on-one basis with like something like the Birdman situation. It's crazy. Or the Federal Star, where it's like, all right, somebody gonna put hands on this man, and you know, it gets super tense. And that's what comes with being that type of interviewer. That you're an agitator, honestly.
Controversy. Rod Digga brought up an important question to Vlad when it came to how he uses his platform to highlight negativity.
I have a slight
I like Rod Digga
with your platform as a whole.
Okay.
I feel like it perpetuates a lot of the nonsense that we are trying to put a halt to in hip-hop. The 2 times that I've been invited to Vlad in my career, the first time was after I made a diss track towards Tyler the Creator.
Okay.
I did come for that. I came for that.
Okay, I didn't do the interview though, did I?
No, you didn't do the interview.
Yeah.
I did speak on that.
Okay, yeah, that's
obviously, but your bookers they're sharing your philosophy. Because at the end of the day, you have final veto over everything.
why I forgot. My bad. Yeah,
No, it's cool.
You did come. My bad.
But the second time I was invited was after a little, thing went viral, some comments I made about Iggy Azalea.
She pointed out how she has only been invited twice to be interviewed after dealing
Beef.
with 2 negative incidents, but not once throughout her long career to talk about her successes or her career in general. And this situation isn't just applicable to her.
Yeah, like he said, he's not looking to like do promo for you. He wants salacious stories for clicks.
Her, but many others. She essentially was accusing him of fueling the flames of drama, beef, and things along those lines, rather than interviewing artists for their art. Of course though, Vlad has denied most of these accusations. He did admit in response to Rod Digga that he looks at the numbers, sees what does well, and tries to make more interviews like that.
If being positive and having these happy, funny stories was the key to numbers, he would flip, just like how these corporations and stuff, like if they're leaning into the gangster stuff, it's because that's what people want to consume, and that's what so they'll just shove it down our throats even more. No Diddy. But like, yeah, this guy's looking at it like a business.
Which of course is understandable, but it doesn't always sit right with people.
course.
He also denied ever asking
No
about
moral
anyone's
compass.
open cases, and referenced this in his interview with DaBaby.
Now, I know everyone's gonna want me to ask about the Walmart situation, but we actually looked into it, and we saw that it's still an open case. So therefore, I'm not gonna ask any questions about it whatsoever.
However, you can also compare that clip to the one with Casanova and see that regardless of whether or not there's an open case, the prying still happens. Not to mention the title of this video was Vlad brings up DaBaby killing a man
Still salacious, getting that click.
at Walmart. It just made it seem like he brought it up just to say, see,
I
I'm
said
not
it.
that bad. I say all of this to say, despite Vlad denying most of these claims, the people have proof to back up most of what they say, and their issues with Vlad are understandable. But that leaves us with one more question. After Vlad's latest incident, will his career survive? Vlad's
That Princeton, yeah, this act right here.
latest incident was a pretty huge event on Twitter. After tweeting about the mix on Not Like Us, like I said, a Princeton professor responded saying, "You are white, this is a black folk affair." They went back and forth with Vlad saying, "Don't try and change your..."
You see, like, yeah, that her point really, honestly, you can't take away somebody's opinion to critique a mix of a song because of the color of their skin or whatever. But like how far he went is ridiculous.
Your words now. I'll be reaching out to Princeton about
It's like he was taking out everything that's happened to him on this one person.
this on Monday. After some more back and forth,
Messed
Vlad
up.
said, "Good luck being a professor at Princeton again. I doubt the university supports their faculty telling non-black students to shut
Messed
the fuck up about anything hip-hop related because of their skin color." They continued going back and forth, and Vlad later apologized, saying, "Since it's Monday, let me clear the air and state that I never had any intent."
That's because you saw the backlash, bro. That's because of that. That's really honestly the only reason why I feel like you took any of that stuff back. It's because you saw how it made you look. It made you look crazy, man. You should have just kept it. You could have had a back and forth with somebody on Twitter. These people have them all the time, you know? But like to go as far as to like get this person fired from their job as a professor at Princeton, prestigious, you know? It's messed up.
Intention of filing a complaint to Princeton for former professor Morgan Jergens saying that white people aren't allowed to comment on Kendrick Lamar's music. She trolled me and I trolled back. At the end of the day,
nah, you didn't troll,
an
fam.
interesting discussion about
That wasn't a troll. You're like, I'm gonna call Monday. I'm gonna send a strongly worded letter and get you fired.
about race relations in America. I will be discussing it further in my future
Especially when you know how touchy race stuff is.
interviews. She responded saying, "A lie. He tagged my employer multiple times with the intention to professionally harm me. I didn't troll. I centered black people in a discussion on hip hop and told him to stand down because it's not his space. He's backtracking because he
I see her point, but like he still has a right to his opinion. But what he did was fucked up.
miscalculated. By the way, stop contacting my family," which I think is interesting.
That's
to know. She
crazy.
made it seem like Vlad was so upset he was contacting her family, which if that's true, it's pretty crazy. Mark Lamont Hill also chimed in saying, "No, Vlad, this doesn't clear the air. You're literally arguing that you were weaponizing your power and privilege to threaten a black woman's job. This is Karen shit." Vlad responded by making fun of him, to which Mark said, "These types of responses are why people don't think you move in good faith." This whole ordeal showed the majority of people siding with Mark and Morgan and arguing against Vlad, calling him all sorts of things like a culture vulture or a Karen. And the ratios make that pretty evident. And after the way he was acting on Twitter,
Bro, he's been known as a culture vulture for as long as, for as long as he's been out, honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised if this controversy just added more fuel to the flames of the DJ Vlad hatred. This was such a huge deal that it even had people like Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz talking about it. So is Vlad TV
Of course,
really a
this
fed
was a
and
big
culture
This was a big it was a big story. Definitely a big story.
vulture, or has he earned his place in the game? Well, that's for the folks in the comments to decide. Regardless, I honestly and personally don't think incidents like this will ever stop his outlet. The content he makes isn't centered around him, and there's clearly an audience for these dramatic.
He doesn't put his face in there. And honestly, like at this point, a good portion of his videos are now actually it's other interviewers coming in now. He's changed it more into like a network versus like his own personal vehicle to interview people himself. But it's still, everyone is looking for those salacious answers. I mean, look at the stories. 10 people killed over American Me. Dr. Dre set up Eazy-E and with Suge Knight altercation. Lil Eazy-E tears up as he recalls final moments with father before. It's a lot of salacious stuff. So I get it. It's crazy. It's not going to stop his bag. People are going to click to see like the train wrecks and stuff like that.
And sometimes morbid interviews. And while that may not be the best, for now, that seems to be the world that we live in.
Yeah. At the end of the day, man, these rappers and these people that go on there and do these interviews, you gotta smarten up and realize that you don't have to answer every single question they ask, especially ones that you either feel like are too personal, stuff that's gonna incriminate you. But like, sometimes people don't get it. It's not like we haven't seen countless stories of people going on there and regretting what they've done, you know? It's crazy. The whole incident with like the professor at Princeton, that was messed up. He was abusing his clout and his resources to try to get her fired, you know? Over a tweet. At the very least, just troll back, a legitimate troll. Don't, like she said, tag her employer, especially in this day and age when everything is so sensitive about race, and expect that no one's gonna like expect no backlash. You're insane, especially when you're already and you known that you've been one of the most hated people in like hip hop and just like the internet as for how you handle a lot of these like incidents and acts and interviews and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys hate Vlad as well? What's your stance on him? What do you guys think about the whole incident with the Princeton professor? I personally think it was messed up how he handled that. Definitely Karen-like behavior. But yeah, guys, we're closing in on 1K. It's freaking awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button. It does the channel wonders. And yeah, hope you guys dug the video, and I hope to see you guys soon. Crazy. Bye.